get myself situated here. Oh, headphones. Love the world through a pair of headphones. Good, nice pair of headphones. What's that all about? All right. Hey, I forget often that I press start stream. I'll press the button start stream and then I just forget that I do it. And then I'm sitting here going through my pre-game progressions. That's probably not true, but sounds good. You know what? It's a Wednesday. It's a hump day. Don't you feel like you made it through it? You did the thing. Whatever it was. You got up this morning and you were like, God damn, I hate this job. Maybe you love your job, but you're like, fuck, I hate Wednesdays. Well, how about Coach Prime? Let's see what if there's any. I found this interesting today.
Talent is talent. You got to perfect your talent to go to the next level. Your talent will get you in the game, but to go to the next level, you got to perfect your talent. It's so tough out there for the young man right now, but the first mistake that they make is you want to go chase a bag instead of chase the game.
Ooh, chase the game.
The game got the bag. Don't chase the bag. The bag ain't got the game.
The bag ain't got the
That's
game.
going to sustain you for a moment. This right here is going to maintain you forever. I've never chased money in my life. I've chased greatness. And guess what came with greatness? The money.
The money. And with that, ladies and gentlemen, I present to you this little thing I like to call Chase Greatness. Wait, I don't call it Chase Greatness. I call it Good News Trouble. What the fuck?
And now it's time to play everybody's favorite game. Good news.
Good news. We are having a combination. Jesus Christ. We can't run.
And don't it feel good? And don't it feel so? I love 9 p.m. Eastern, 7 p.m. Mountain Standard, 6 p.m. Pacific. I love this time of the day. You know why? Do you know why? Because I'm here with you, and you're here with me. I'm with you. You're with me. That means I get the chance to chop it up with some of my favorites. Throw around topics of discussion of the sports variety. Throw my vernacular on top of this spectacular and get all to it. Like we always do at this time. What was what a picture of? Oh, that is a great, doesn't that make it our time, mister? Conga Hydra's in the building. Are you asking me what the picture on the billboard is? There is this amazing video of a skateboarder in, I want to say, Northern California, just yard sailing at one of those, where they all gather and they're all barreling down hills or just dive bombing these hills. And this kid ate shit so turfy. And he skids and his shoe just boom. So awesome. And I was like, that's going to be a part of it. Yes. It's the most vainglorious faceplant of all faceplants. It is such a gangster ass way to this kid is in my Hall of Fame of skaters. I'll have to find the original video. When I mean, it was one of those moments, Conga, that when you say, yeah, he did it. He did the whole thing and he earned it. I respect, probably more than any athlete, I respect skateboarders. I skateboard, let's say recreationally, never, I'm not no trick skateboarder, but I could cruise longboard for sure, but I would never cruise a longboard. Cruiser trucks on a trick deck. That's my choice. But I just love skateboarding. I just love it. I came up whale tails, right? Skating quarter pipes, actually in my homeboy's backyard. Rest in peace, Jason Hoskins, in the back of Montbello. But obviously when I'm coming up, it was like, you gonna do that professionally? Nope. And yeah, brain damage was why, because you have to want to absorb every single one of those falls to get good. There is no one who learns how to skateboard without falling. And okay, so you get it. And that was enough. Nope, I got a homeboy. same dope, different smoke. I got a homeboy who that was how he began and ended his boxing career. Not with the broken roof of the mouth, but he was like, man, I was good. Shout out my homeboy Chris Crow. It's like, I was good, and but it was good in theory, you know what I mean? And then he got in against somebody who could really go and got popped a couple of times. He was like, I don't need it. I don't need the hard hustle. Nuggets host the Houston Rockets tonight. They just tipped off, so we got a whole one tonight. I'm not gonna go the whole time, but I'm gonna be with you, go away, and then come back. Does it make sense? Maybe not, but honestly, I get a chance to watch the game a little bit unencumbered, and then come back to you. But I definitely want to get a conversation out of the way. Reminds me of Disney classic Brink, a 1998 film. I don't know that one, Timothy Rimothy. You'll have to give me some people who are in it. What would I know that I'm looking for? Listen, what we have on our hands tonight, Nuggets fan, is a chance to see no Joker to start the game. Is Joker injured? What am I watching? Go Nuggets. No Jokic, apparently. Let's see what they're mad at. Yeah, well, I looked up and I'm like, why is DeAndre Jordan on the court? Why is DeAndre Jordan courting? And the only answer would be that no Joker tonight. That's an interesting. I mean, is he hurt? Do you think Joker's maybe load management in it team? I wanted this to be. I can't believe that they would do that. That just seems like a very curious decision to make against, this is the Western Conference second best team that you're facing, and they're playing good basketball. Jalen Green's coming in off a 42-point night. Obviously, we saw Jamal's 45-point night last night. No Joker's wild. Tied at 3, though, to start. What up, Andon? For sure, go Nuggets. See if anybody can get eyes on what the Joker story is. Like, I would imagine that he has made it clear to Mike Malone that there's going to have to be some spells that he gets during the season because of his output, and because of the guys on the roster who have done, heavy trips into the postseason, Joker is obviously the bell cow, right? Yeah, I don't understand that. What's up? I don't know. The chat doesn't like it when I chime in, but fuck. What? What? Who don't like it when you chime in? What? I'll tell you this much. If you've got things to contribute, these are open conversations that we're having. Nuggets already down 7-3. Shangoon. That's disconcerting. One, the chat thing. I'm not a huge fan of that. We don't tell anybody who can and can't speak where I'm from. Unless you got hands. Unless you got hands and you can shut me up, my advice to you would be, don't worry about what I'm doing. Worry about what the hell you got going on. You see what I'm saying?
While we talking, I tell you to shut up.
Okay.
Do you think it's wise for you to keep talking?
Huh?
Respectfully, today's NBA scheduling is a joke. Give Joker as much rest as he needs. I agree. They just flew in from Dallas, and boy, are their arms tired. And they were in Dallas for a back-to-back, which wasn't a back-to-back. It was play the Mavericks, obviously take a night off, play them again, and then you fly back to Denver, and you got a second night to go. It just, I don't know. He didn't look hobbled in yesterday's game, did he? Here's what I was expecting. The Nuggets took care of their business so early, and Jamal Murray was so good that Joker didn't have to put out a lot of energy in last night's game. It's just weird that he would take tonight of all nights, that he would take tonight off. What chat is that? Exactly, Conga. Like, I don't know who the hell is talking all that. Jokic is out with an elbow injury. Really? Well, that's not bad.
Not bad, meaning bad, but bad.
I mean, that's not good. The one thing that we've been able to get out of Joker, and the question that I was going to ask is, what does the chemistry between Joker and Westbrook, if Westy's Joker's new bestie, where does that leave Jamal? And we could kick it around, like, how does that affect Jamal? Is Jamal mature enough to grow into a role of his own? Is there a possibility that, Jamal would accept a demotion of sorts to the bench to provide scoring off the bench? I'm just throwing stuff around. And obviously, I think it bodes well for the future that Jamal plays well in all cases, in every way that you can look at it. You want to trade him? Best that he plays his trade value up. And if he's going to remain a part of the nucleus of this squad, if he's going to be part of the nuclear explosion, if he's going to be part of the nucleus, then yeah, it's best that he's playing well, right? I think the style of play clashes with what apparently works for this squad, and that's everybody being involved by two guys who really love to play off one another, cutting, lots of moving, off the ball, lots of movement, spread the ball around. I don't think that plays into Jamal's best attributes of his game. But, because last night, okay, so we'll get to that. I need to know more about this Joker. From Al, Nikola Jokic is not playing in tonight's game against the Houston Rockets due to right elbow inflammation. Interesting. Some dudes piled on during the Broncos game, told me to get. Oh, really? Andon, let me tell you something. I'm keeping it a thou wow. You gotta, people in internet and online talk real turfy, but no one would ever say these things to you. And it's like, you feel me? I like big round conversations. I don't care who involves himself in it. If the president-elect wants to come in here and chop it up, let's chop it. Let's chop it. Who's to tell who can't chop it? And if your best bet to shut me up, you got to have them hands. You got to have handwork, and you definitely ain't gonna do it talking shit on the internet. That's just not gonna happen. That would be my advice to you and yo. So what does that mean for Jamal, though? This new chemistry, which, all of us are really enjoying. There goes Jeff Green, former Denver Nugget champion. with these young Nuggets. Oh, and the Thompson twins. Houston's got a squad. Ime Udoka walked into the perfect situation. Lots of young talent that needs to be shaped up and reeled in. A great center. When I say great, Şengün, I'm not saying that he's generational, but he's great. And I do think that in an era that we'll see, it's going to have to see, because these guys are young, is going to have to see a resurgence at the center position. You're going to have to at least make some attempt to get somebody who can really, be effective on the block. Even though I'm watching Spurs Grizzlies, and Victor Wembanyama has to be careful that he's not a waste of height. There's sometimes he does things that, accentuate those guard skills that he has. He has a tendency to do things that accentuate those guard skills, and I don't think it's to his best. Like, you just think about all that space inside of 17 feet that he could be so effective, just turning and standing over the top of somebody and firing a simple over the top turnaround jumper. I think we all have to remember, you don't have to come up with a skyhook, but work smarter, not harder. It's just weird to watch him struggle to find offense in areas where it's like, well, dude, maybe try a little easier. Like, not so much especial. Not so much of the especial. Just do the right thing, man. I get the feeling Jamal's knee has been bothering him all season, judging by his comments last game. Yeah, I heard that. I did hear that. And I'm going to be honest with you. I don't give a shit. I think it's easy to say, oh, yeah, it's my knee. It's like, but I'm not the guy who has to suit up 82 nights. So you want to feel your best. And I think there is probably a psychological thing with Jamal and lower extremity injuries and whatnot. That's a walk. I think Congo Hydra, I think it was something personal. Of course, assumptions are bad, but it didn't seem like it was an injury. It seemed like something was happening private. I think that Jamal's trying to figure out this whole high profile pro basketball gymmer thing. That's my assumption. And no, assumptions aren't good to make. You always make an ass out of somebody. Definitely ain't me. It ain't gonna be me, but somebody. I saw this from Steph Curry, and when we were throwing around trade and how do you fix, what's going on, I found this intriguing because there's few people that I respect as much as I do Steph Curry. I just think that he's a guy who's done it the right way. I think the Curry effect has ruined basketball. I didn't think I would ever be a guy to say that. I've now come around to the those Thompson twins. Bull, it's a problem. One of them plays in Detroit and the other one plays for Houston, and they hoopers, super duper hoopers. The Steph Curry effect on basketball has just been disastrous. It's like everybody has a step back in their repertoire. And when I say everybody has one in their repertoire, I don't mean has it is as in they're proficient at it. They just love to do it. And as is the trend in major sports, the inmates run the asylum because coaches are like, yeah, we gotta, this is the trend in the NBA. Instead of saying, we're going to defend the 3-point line, I don't give a damn. We're going to defend the 3-point line, and we're going to live and die taking the best shot every possession. We're going to live and die. And I guarantee you, those are the teams that would average out. And then teams that, develop an inside presence. Take that shit all day. Anyway, I still respect the shit out of Steph Curry. I just think he's a good dude. I think he's done it the right way his entire career. Not hard for him not to be such a consummate professional.
Moves that
Hold on 1 second.
Deplete the.
Now, we were talking about here in Denver, like, well, what do? You can't waste Joker's career. You can't afford to waste Joker's career. And trade deadline is going to come and go, and the Nuggets aren't going to make a move. I think we all know that. But what about going forward? And then I heard this sentiment from Steph Curry, and I just thought it was interesting.
Future, like there is a responsibility on allowing or keeping the franchise when it, in a good space and good spot when it comes to where we leave this thing when we're done. If you have an opportunity where a trade makes sense, or even in the summer free agency makes sense, like you want to continue to get better. Nobody wants to be stale or be in a situation where you're passing up opportunities, but it doesn't mean that you're desperate, just flinging assets all around the place just because you want to do something.
Now, obviously, that's not where we find ourselves as Nuggets fans and enthusiasts, because Calvin Booth has been firing shit all over the place. And even before him, the cupboard was raided a bit for the sake of draft picks. And the checks have been spent, and there's not a lot coming through the door. There's not a lot going to be greenlit to be spent anymore. But it's like leaving the organization better, or in at least as good a position or better than when you came to it, when you found it. That's just a profound position for an NBA champion and veteran to take, obviously, because he's like, I don't want to, like most guys are like, I don't want to lose. Go get me whatever the hell you got to get me. I don't give a damn about them draft picks. I don't give a damn. But if you don't got the right guy cooking and you don't got the right philosophy to build around your best player, you end up looking like the Golden State Warriors in one regard, which is they've tried to build this thing from the outside in, and now they're hampered. But they've got help on the way. They've got help on the way in terms of their best player, who looks like he's got about, he doesn't take a lot of wear and tear on his body. He takes great care of himself. Steph Curry, if LeBron James can play 20 plus years, I'm pretty sure Steph can get close. So he's probably got another 4 or 5 really good seasons of basketball left in him. Like, he still looks like he's in his prime. And he's like, take your time. Build something responsibly. Don't go trading away all our assets in order. We'll get to it. And they've tried a couple of different iterations and when you get that kind of green light from your best player, it's like, so that's got me looking at Joker now. And I'm like, I wonder what Joker's opinions are. What do you think Nikola Jokic's opinions are on the team around him and how he wants to see championship success pursued? Is it win at all costs? Because if it's win at all costs, that answers the question for me when I say, where does that leave Jamal? Because I would say, well, maybe it's not that important that you trade Jamal, because it's easy to say, get him up out of here. Hard to think about who's better in terms of when you see that point production that he had last night. And if to Conga's point, if it's been the knee, if it's really been not his, maybe it's a combination of both. If it's Jamal's attitude, but maybe it's his attitude that's spurred by the fact he just doesn't feel 100%, and that sends him gets him all in his muggles, gets him all, moody and whatever. If your knee's hurting you, maybe it's harder to work out in the offseason. That part I really don't get, because I'm like, well, you should be getting treatment then in the offseason, and your body you should probably be in the best shape, right? Because you're getting treatment. He wasn't injured. Your knee, obviously he's not injured. You're just trying to recover from a pretty tough. So it's like, okay, maybe, I don't know about now Jamal. Here's the problem. I think that Michael Porter Jr., and we'll keep an eye on the game, I think that Michael Porter Jr.'s trade value would never get you back in return what you're trading away, which is I just believe that he's going to have one of these late bloomer trajectories. Nuggets are down 8 currently. I'm telling you, this Houston team ain't no, and that's really disappointing that no Joker tonight. I really wanted to see how we matched up against Houston best on best. I really wanted to see that. I really wanted to see how they match up best on best. Nuggets Malone struggle bus already for the Nuggets. Mike Malone struggle bus already. Daniel, you are nothing if not a bastion of consistency. You, Daniel Miller, are the most consistent the most consistent part of this show, besides the fact that you can always count on me being here Monday through Thursday at 7 p.m. Mountain Standard. You can count on that. You can also count on Daniel Miller coming in and in some way, shape, or form, subtly or overtly, calling for Mike Malone's head on a pike. Since the physicalness being at an all-time low in the NBA, absolutely can. Absolutely can what? I'm sorry, that's you're gonna have to help me out. Rimothy. Absolutely can what? I missed the let me see. Of course, assumptions, but it seemed something was happening. I don't know. Timothy, expound upon your thoughts. Isn't Mike Malone already forgetting how to coach? Was speaking on behalf of Nuggets fans about Malone. I get you. You're talking about Steph. Yeah, I think he can too. I think Steph is. Plus, you got to think about the way he plays the game, right? He's not going to take a lot of physical abuse anyway, because he plays the game outside in and is real crafty. Got a great handle, super crafty. When he does take his chances in the lane, you don't see him getting beat up a lot. And to your point, it ain't that type of NBA no more anyway. Nobody's head hunting. They're not taking guys' heads off when they drive the lane. More times than not, it's a bit of an Olay. It's a bit of an Olay proposition with the physicality. Shangoon. And the way that Houston is built, like Steven, their backup center was a centerpiece in Memphis. So this will be a good test for the Nuggets without. Joker. I just wanted to see how we match up best on best. Okay, Daniel Miller, do you want to be the head coach of the Nuggets? Daniel on Daniel violence. It's straight up though. I can't stand Dylan Brooks. His basketball existence is an affront to my basketball sensibilities. So, Steph's sentiment about not, selling everything in lieu of winning now is obviously different than other superstars in the game. And then if that is the sentiment, which I respect, that could, an opinion like that could change the calculus for the Nuggets. Because again, I look at MPJ and I'm like, I just can't see a trade that's valuable enough to watch unless you're able to get in some way, shape, or form, I just can't think of the guy. I can't think of the guy. Oh, there are guys, but not within his trade value, because he's in that tweener trade value to where it's like he hasn't played himself into that upper echelon where you just know you can go across the board. Great player for great player. It's just not a great fit here. He hasn't played himself into that, but I think he's on his way there, late bloomer stages. So it's like, I don't think you would get back in return real value. I'd rather see him blossom here. And then when it comes to Maul, it's like, that's a tough contract to get out from under, to be honest with you. It's just, okay, you got injury problems. That ain't going to help. Now you're just going to get raked over the coals. You're not going to get value back in return. Maybe you got an attitude issue. That's kind of an NBA thing. So that one I'm all, hold on, listen at this. This coach right here, UCLA's coach, Mike, what is it, Bonich? This is an amazing take on today's basketball player. This take, where are we at? Oh, right here.
He sounded off on his team. Take a listen.
We're soft. Yeah. Aside from, to be fair to you, obviously they have a unique skill set, the way they shoot the ball, but we're soft. I have to run on the court to get guys to play hard. It's crazy, you know, and it's every day. I'm tired of it.
This is for you, Daniel
I
Miller.
have the most energy of anybody at practice every day. I'm upset with everybody in that locker room, my assistant coaches and my players. I mean, I don't need to do anything else. I almost got 500 wins. I'm only 53. You think I'm coaching the Lakers? I mean, it's a joke. It's a joke. But yet I come in and I have more passion and energy and pride than everybody in. That's the problem. The truth of it is, Ben, it's really hard to coach people that are delusional. The hungry dog gets the bone. We got guys that think they're way better than they are. They're nice kids. They're completely delusional about who they are. The problem, I told them, I said, the toughest guy in the room can't be me every day. It can't. It can't.
That was scathing. And I think as a critique of his own team, he knows his team better than anybody. But as a critique of today's basketball player in general, today's American basketball, so spot on, it's crazy. So Mike Malone, I do think, has had to deal with a bit of that with some of his guys. Some of his guys, including Jamal, are delusional when it comes to the type of work and work ethic it takes to be great in the league. Nothing ventured, nothing gained is the old adage, right? And so it's like, well, you got the money. Many of the players on this team, it's like, you got a ring. So, and since you were an AAU high school basketball player, everybody's been telling you how great you are. And these guys all approach professional basketball in that fashion. And you just see it. Amen Thompson. Is it Amen Thompson or Amen Thompson? Whichever one it is. That kid, 17 and 11, he's maxing out on his skills and on his skill set. I think there's just below the class of guys that we're seeing that are 7, just coming out of their rookie deals. Just below them, I think, is a class of killers. I think there's just the Jalen Greens. These are guys who, as a matter of fact, as much as I don't like Ja Morant, the Ja Morants, these guys are just, they're different. They want to be, there's a nastiness to some of these guys' game. We don't have guys like that on this roster. Well, we do. We got one guy like that on this roster. His name is Nikola Jokic. And another guy whose name is Russell Westbrook, but Russell's up there in age, right? So you combine these two things, you have to be real confident in what you're going to bring back in return. If you're listening to Steph Curry's sentiment and it's about leaving the organization better than you found it when you got there, being in a better position for Nikola Jokic's career having been here, the Nuggets should be better off every year that he's here when you build something around a guy like that. Think about the San Antonio Spurs. So, and then you're just firing guys out, including Jamal. You're just getting rid of a Michael Porter Jr. in lieu of what? And getting what back? What kind of player are you bringing back in return? It's not an easy proposition. I think it might start at the top. I think the major changes, maybe it's time for all of us to accept what we have as a roster, because we saw those wild ass moves. And I do think, not paying Bruce Brown, I think that was actually a good decision to make. Not for the dynasty, not dynastically, but God, think about what the payroll would have looked like if they'd have kept him. Letting Jeff Green walk, did that help? I mean, was Jeff Green, think about who you'd rather sitting on your bench, DeAndre Jordan or Jeff Green. Well, Jeff Green can't play center, but DeAndre Jordan rarely gets on the court either. So that was a problem. You're seeing more of DeAndre Jordan. So it's like the people that they had to let go of, I get it. KCP, I do understand. It's like, Cronkies aren't going to spend much more money. We can't pay you like that. Happy trails. Thanks for your service. And now you're looking at Christian Brown and you're like, grow up. It's a combination between you and Peyton. Grow up. Now's the time to grow. And I think that those guys are like the guy, maybe not Christian Brown, are like the guys that the coach of UCLA was talking about. You don't care. Draymond Green should have been banned. Wow, from the NBA. Dude assaulted a teammate. Yeah, I don't know if he should have been banned because of that. Dude is lucky he's a good player. He is. I don't. Banned is a lot. You think Draymond's the first guy? You think Draymond's the first guy to get into it with a teammate? It's just the first one that you saw caught on tape. Anyone but Malone. We need a coach who doesn't get scared to coach against good teams. I don't think that is a Mike Malone thing. I don't know if you're seeing this clearly, Daniel. I don't think you're seeing this clearly. Anyone but Malone is fine until you get anyone but Malone, and then the returns are even worse. I don't think you understand what it. I think Mike Malone is confronted daily with guys who are delusional. Zeke Naji comes to mind. What the fuck else do you have to do besides work on your game that you haven't grown? And I think that pisses him off. Now, I'm on the outside looking in. I have no empirical data whatsoever. But I think not seeing guys come back better from an offseason is enough to make a coach who's just like, do you take this seriously or not? Make your blood boil. What else do you have to do, sir? Talking about the player. Tinfoil hat time. Everyone starts to talk about Jamal's tude and talking trade next season or when they can. So he comes out, lays 45 to make everyone hope. He does that all the time. He won't. That is, I don't think that's very tinfoil hattish at all. I think the fact that game was on TNT had everything to do with Jamal's performance last night. I think you're dead on accurate. Now, that does not mean that he's not dealing with injury. That does not mean that. And yeah, playing himself back in the string. I'm like, I don't give a damn what your motivation is. We need Jamal to play better because if he doesn't, we are stuck with that dude in the worst way possible. Timothy, don't know why the league puts up with his crap. I don't either. Coincidence? Not, in my opinion. I agree with that, Coach, 100%. I will say still college basketball over the NBA. I'm going to have to start watching college hoops again more, to be honest with you. I really fell out of love with it because of the one and dones. It was just hard to follow, and it really started to be bad basketball on the college level. This year seems like it's a little better. Crocky's on Walmart, not Saks Fifth Avenue. What are you saying, though? Help me out, because Walmart, I would imagine. I don't have any. Somebody look it up. I'm going to put this on the chat. I would imagine Walmart is worth 10x Saks Fifth Avenue. 10x Saks Fifth Avenue. No, but it was the first issue he has had. At some point, you got to say enough. Yeah. Agreed. It wasn't the first. I get what you're saying. I said was. I agree. I think Draymond has walked not even just that fine line. Every time he gets one of those texts where he can't be controlled, it's just like, are you okay, bro? You've been in the league a long time. Like, are you all right? And then when he does one of those things, punch some guy in the nuts or grab somebody by the nuts or do one of those Draymond things, I don't disagree with you. I guess what I'm saying is the punch looks bad, but from what I've heard, when you hear about it in context, it was along the lines of what has happened and will always happen in the area when a rookie is telling a vet, like, you ain't even going to be here next year, boss. You know, I'm the guy. And Jordan Poole is not a POS, but borderline delusional for sure. Jamal cannot be traded, so we ain't even talking about trading him. Yeah, he can't be traded right now. But if he plays his value up, he could be. I can tell you this, because I think they're in the sweepstakes for the number one the overall pick, and therefore Cooper Flag. I could see literally. I know it sounds like I'm joking when I say this. I could literally see trading Black Canadians. I could literally see that as a, why would Toronto just? Oh my God, we can't trade R.J. Barrett for Jamal Murray. Many would say that Jamal has the better upside if it comes to scoring, right? So it's like, I don't see a world where Jamal's untradeable. You just got to get the right deal. Loved what you said last night about how nice Maul was, the TNT announcer, and how salty. Couldn't you see it? It's crazy. It's like, we can all see you, right? He's real aloof and doldrumy when he's talking to the locals. But then he put on that, yeah, me and my guys. And it's like, okay. The home squad watched that, bro. We all see that. We see you, Maul. Nuggets could have paid to keep the band together, but have a reputation for being cheap. Dead on ball's accurate. Don't really understand it. You're a billionaire spending Walmart money. I don't get it. You love basketball, apparently. What I was told is they're a basketball family because of Josh's time at the University of Missouri. Okay. So fiscally responsible, you know what I mean, with your basketball roster, but you run Walmarts and shit. I don't get it. Not sure I agree, but they could have paid everyone. They could have, but where would that have left them is the question. I like Van Vliet. I don't agree with that. I like you, Daniel. Regardless of how surly you are and how many times you call for Mike Malone, said I like you, but I like Van Vliet. I like Fred Van. I at one point in time was like, how do you get Fred Van Vliet to Denver? He's just the type of guard that you need. Guy who understands his role. Oh God, Nuggets down 11. Jeff Green just hit a big shot. Big shot. I just meant Walmart is cheap and gotcha. Yep, that's how they roll. That is how they roll. Like, that's what I was just gonna say. I'm like, so you value, but no, to your point, you're more accurate. I'm like, oh yeah, you sell cheap shit, and so you just have a cheap squad. I was like, but I'm like, oh, you would sell the community crap materials at bargain basement prices, but then you're responsible when it comes to your roster. But both are irresponsible. Just to search, Walmart's market cap is approximately $732 billion. Jesus. Saks was 3.6. So that's like 700x, damn near, more than. The refs haven't called a correct foul yet. Don't be a Scott Hastings. I love Scott Hastings, but don't be a Odom. I don't understand. That combo got me wondering. The Nuggets weren't even televised locally for two of Jokic's MVPs. I know. And that'll tell you. They were willing to battle. What does it say about your ownership group if they're willing to battle? And you're talking about a billionaire, right? We're not talking about some mom and pop shop. You're talking about a legit billion. Oh, God, that backdoor pass. Steven Adams to Amen Thompson. That backdoor pass. They're building something. Better watch out for Houston. See, damn, I really wanted to see Joker play tonight. I wanted to see how we match up with them best on best. Without our best, we don't match up with the rest. Amen Thompson. That kicking hoop. Yeah, for them to even, so you got a legit billionaire. And it's like, okay, there's something going on between you and Comcast wants a lion's share of whatever the deal is. And you just, wouldn't for your fan base, you got one of the greatest basketball players ever to play. For your fan base, wouldn't you take whatever nominal hit that's got to be to just so that your fan base can see the games locally? Wouldn't you do that? And it's like, oh, you're a bad human being. Sorry, not sorry. If that's what you would do, if you would hold the hometown squad hostage, knowing how much they love this team, knowing that you got one of the best players in the history of the game on your roster, as Dario Saric bricks of fuck. Calvin Booth's got to go. Just on evaluation and decision-making alone, you've got to get him away from my Nuggets. You know what I'm saying? Like, you would go to the mat and it's like, well, then it's a standoff then. I guess no one will see the Nuggets. And it's just like, oh, you're a bad human being. Sorry, not sorry. Comcast was to blame. Altitude tried. Comcast refused every deal. Is that true? Cronky, I feel, needs to... Well, then you put the games on CBS 4. I don't know. What? Cronky, I feel, needs to... Hold on. Cronky, I feel, needs to feel like they are not being lowballed by Comcast and over-evaluate their overall brand equity. So it's ego over altruism. Shit. I agree with that. But I mean, ego over altruism. I feel like in these instances, you know, there are very few times in life when you get to prove, like, you can always say, I'm a good human. There are very few times in life when you actually get to prove it, right? Because, like, I don't know, taking care of your kids or whatnot, that's shit you're supposed to do, right? You know, being good to your wife or your friends, that's just shit you're supposed to do. But when you do things that most people would go, I wouldn't, that's not the greatest, it's not even a bad business decision. I'm quite sure they weren't getting fleeced by Comcast. They weren't being asked to pay Comcast any money, right? They just weren't getting the, you know, maximize shareholders value end of the deal with Comcast. Every deal that they offered up, Comcast refused. It's just kind of like, I'm not going to pretend to understand all that stuff. I'm a very layman speaker, and I'm open to, if I'm wrong, let me know. But you got to be kidding me that Comcast was like, no, we don't want any Nuggets viewership. So every deal that I highly doubt that. I highly doubt that they want to be fielding calls from angry Nuggets fans like, what the fuck is y'all's problem? Why can't I watch the Nuggets? Because what I understand it was, they were like, talk to your boy. Keeping up with the Walmart talk, you're guaranteed to see a meth head, an obese person on a scooter with their face showing, and a man in woman's clothes every time you get there. I try my best for those reasons never to shop in that establishment. Sorry, not sorry. Altitude offered them the same deal Comcast gave the Rockies, and Comcast got so scared when Altitude asked for the same deal. Altitude was in the right. Altitude offered them the same deal Comcast gave the Rockies, and Comcast got scared when Altitude asked for the same deal. Altitude was in the right. Hold on. Okay, so help me understand this. I should just look this up. So Comcast was scared of what? Money? Viewership? What were they afraid of? Help me understand. Help me understand what they were afraid of. Afraid of viewership? Afraid of subscribers getting to see their team? I don't understand what the fear was on behalf of Comcast. If there was a deal on the table to air Nuggets games, and Altitude is here, let me just look this shit up. I wonder if I can find. Let me see. No, I gotta go. Let's see if Google AI can tell me. Explain the Comcast Altitude Rift Denver Nuggets Colorado apps. I need to understand it for myself, because I realize that I may be speaking out of turn. Okay. The Altitude Sports here. Let me get this up here. I always want to be fair. I always want to be fair, for sure. All right. The Altitude Sports blackout is a dispute between Comcast and Altitude Sports over the distribution of Denver Nuggets and Colorado Avalanche games. The dispute began in 2019 when Altitude's contract with Comcast expired. The blackout has led to fans being unable to watch their favorite team on Comcast. What happened? Comcast contract expiration, Altitude's contract 2019. Lawsuit. Altitude filed an antitrust lawsuit against, well, that's not going to help you. Altitude filed an antitrust lawsuit against Comcast, claiming Comcast was trying to force Altitude out of business. Okay. Settlement. Comcast and Altitude settled in March 2023, but Altitude was not restored to Comcast. Streaming service. Altitude launched a streaming service called Altitude Plus. Why is there a dispute? Comcast and Dish Network have demanded large price reductions from Altitude. Large price reductions from Altitude. Comcast has told customers that Altitude forced them to remove their network. Comcast has refused to offer Altitude the same terms as its other regional sports networks. Fans have been unable to watch their favorite team on Comcast. The dispute has been a source of frustration for fans who feel that millionaires and billionaires are fighting while they get. That's my point. This is where I rest. First of all, if you file an antitrust lawsuit against your carrier, I'm pretty sure your carrier is. Think about Drake and UMG. UMG is loathed to put out any of Drake's, and I know he dropped the lawsuit, but now he's suing again for defamation. Whatever the fuck. That's a whole conversation we should have. You're loath to get a good disposition out of somebody that you're suing, your carrier. Now, if I understand some of these sentences correctly, and I'm pretty good at English, Altitude, Comcast did not want, hold on, antitrust lawsuit. Comcast and Dish Network have demanded large price reductions from Altitude. So that means taking a loss. So Comcast demanded that Altitude take a loss, reduce the price that they're charging Comcast to carry Altitude's content, which means that either Comcast and Dish would have to increase the price that they pass along, because that's how that shit works. They're not going to eat that shit. So they'll pass that along to the customer. So Comcast, Dish Network were vying on behalf of Nuggets fans to be like, we want prices to be more in your favor. Somebody didn't want to take a haircut. Let's see. Hold on. Murray has 8 points, 6 minutes left in the first half. Game is obviously not on TNT. Yeah. Jake playing up that value on national television. So weird. So weird. Comcast was scared to get the deal done with Altitude when Altitude didn't ask for anything extra in the deal. Comcast refused to speak to Altitude. Altitude offered Comcast several deals. From my understanding, Altitude wanted more money for their shows and production. Comcast responded by saying, no, your channel only gets watched a few months out of the year. Fair. It's true. Who the hell's watching Altitude when it's not literally Christmas, a little bit before, through June if both teams are playing into the postseason? Nobody. No offense to anybody. I'm just saying. The value's not there. Reruns and, and golf shows, and nobody's watching that shit. Fair? Fair? When you're in the business of making television, see, the thing is, the Cronkies run retail well, and they own sports franchises well. Getting into the TV business is tough because the calendar year for programming is 365, meaning you got to have demand 365. If you only have demand 120-ish, it's hard to go to a carrier and then say, yeah, and then, take all the rest of this crap that nobody watches and then give me what I want in return. You're playing the TV game, so TV game is different, is all I'm saying. It's crazy how Daniel rides so hard for Altitude, but wants Malone out of here. They failed to reach a deal. Altitude played victim, saying they would go out of business, but they still, that's all that. Quite honestly, it's like, you can't max out like Altitude. This is my layman's understanding. Altitude wants to max out on every business model that they have. But the truth of the matter is that some of those business models, because you chose to get into the business, understand, I worked for a carrier that covered the Nuggets and the Avs before Kroenke decided to go into business for himself. Okay, big dog. You better be able to provide programming year round then that people are going to watch. Because again, that people are going to watch is the operative term after programming. You can make the shit, but that don't mean nobody's watching. People watch because of the games. You chose to get into the TV business. And you don't have year-round TV product. No offense to anybody who's making content over there at Altitude. No offense to any of those people. I am not here to shit on. And those people do great work. And their work costs money. But the money coming back might not be. That's the loss you got to take, Mr. Kroenke. You know why? Because you chose to get into the business of being a television provider. Yeah, Nuggets game is getting ugly. I see it. I see it. Oh, what a difference a guy makes, right? If this doesn't tell you, the one of the problems that I have with Jamal Murray is if there's any, like last night's game was a great game for you to go ahead and go off. If there was any game for you to prove your worth, though, this would be the one. This would be the one. Big guy goes and sits down. It's like, all right, now let's see how. I mean, sometimes with Joker, I feel like there is a very wily businessman. Nuggets down 16. They've scored 34 points in the first half. I feel like Joker is like, I'm going to prove to you how much I'm worth by virtue of how easy it is for Jamal to get his game off when I'm around as opposed to when I'm not. Because the elbow thing is just like, maybe my elbow hurts. Altitude has always been in the right. Comcast hates Altitude for no reason. I think that is bombastic. I cut Comcast years ago, DirecTV, so I could watch the games. I lost trust in Comcast. Okay. Struggle bus is squarely on Malone tonight, not Jamal. Okay. That you'll have to forgive me, Daniel, if I believe that your opinions are jaded and shaded. Altitude is not the problem. You've said that. We get it. You mean no one is watching fishing? Exactly, Andin. Exactly. Which I think they're great shows for what they're worth. And the people who make them are serious about what they're doing, but try and sell that to an advertiser. Advertisers are like, I don't give a shit. Where are the viewers? Right? Great concepts. I'm quite sure nice people involved. I don't give a shit. Golfing at Altitude and all those things. Great shows. I used to watch them. Again, I came out of this battle when the Kroenkes decided to go into televising game business for themselves. The people at Fox looked at them like, all right. I mean, it's your choice to do it. He stiff-armed us. It's your choice to do it. Yeah. They're your teams. Yep. But just understand what comes with it. You walk over, but you limp back type shit. Because sports fans only blame Altitude when Comcast was the main issue. I just don't believe that. Comcast is in the business of airing television. They could give a shit less. They want the games. You know why? Because when they get to play the games, they get people watching their product. People buy packages. So I don't think there's any incentive for Altitude to stiff arm a content, but you don't want to deal. No one wants to deal with the guy that thinks he does everything well. And the truth of the matter is, maybe you don't. Just fucking get the games on. I guarantee you this, Daniel. If what you're saying is true, then I would assume that the Kroenkes would have pulled whatever levers that they could to find another carrier, even if it meant KWGN, Fox 31, whomever, right? You want the home. The point is you want the home fans to see the squad, right? Yeah, next game. Ugly. I know Mike Malone's future trigger Nuggets fans. It triggers you. 100%. No one's tuning. Yeah, exactly. Exactly. I love the Nuggets. You love the Nuggets. Come on. You're going to be watching Nuggets. Like, come on. The games, the season. That's the thing. The games, the season. That's the thing. And I think, to be honest with you, I think Mr. Kroenke's inspiration to get into the TV business was inspired by okay. Think about what Fox Sports and not Root Sports, because by that time the Nuggets and the Avs had gone. But think about what Fox Sports Net Rocky Mountain had at the time. You had baseball through the year, through the summer. You had CU, college football, CSU, college football, and college sports through the fall, all the way into Nuggets Avs. You had a 360 live, because that's what they do. That's what the business model was for all of the Fox Sports Net outlets, the regional outlets. That was the business model. And I think Mr. Kroenke at the time, this is early 2000s or mid 2000s, before the 10s, looked at that and was like, that's a piece of money that I could be getting a hold of. But it's like, yeah, dude, kind of, but not really, because we do this for a living. Now, look how it worked out for Fox Sports Net and that whole regional model. Didn't work out too well for them either. So, no harm, no foul. But the games were never in question. The fans could watch the games. Is all I'm saying. And I love the fact that I'm on the internet. You can't. I'll tell you this. Quick story. Inside baseball. There was a point in time, and this is because sports and the broadcasting of sports gets real political real quick, right? So when you're on an outlet, this is inside baseball. So when you're on an outlet, like an outlet that is responsible to carry a certain team's set of games, well, then it's expected that the coverage will be forgiving. At best. There was a point in time when one of our anchors at Fox Sports Net, we got a call because he just made a really stern assessment of what he was seeing with the Avalanche. And Pierre Lacroix himself called and asked for this person to be fired. That's when we knew there was going to be a problem with airing the games. It's like, what? It wasn't anything, no personal attack. It wasn't a personal attack. It's just an assessment, and it was a tough one. Keith Blyer, my homeboy.
Not bad, meaning bad, but bad, meaning good.
At least Altitude partnered up with the local KDVR and gives them against the local fans this year. Yeah, good job. Honestly, that's like, at least he takes care of his kids. Love you, Andon, but I'm like, that's what you're supposed to do. Like, what? Like, what do you have without fans? Think of the COVID years. What do you have without fans to watch the games? Nothing. Colorado Avalanche intro music on Fox Sports Net Rocky Mountain was God tier. Yes, it was. Timothy Rimothy. God, I'm having so much fun with you guys, and the Nuggets are getting their doors blown. Jesus God. That got out of hand real fast. I'm like, I want to see how we match up best on best. And they're like, your best ain't good enough. I did my best, but I guess my best wasn't good enough. Whew. Decisions. I kind of feel like just going through with you guys. I kind of feel like just keeping it going. Like, stop for what? Me stop for why? Porque why? Yeah, I do know Kroenke owes them Rams. You're in that's my point to him. Like, you're in the business of owning teams, and that he does well enough. I mean, you got a championship in football, you got a championship in basketball. He's not doing a bad job. You got a championship in hockey. You do that part. They do that part well. The owning of the teams, you do well. The owning of bargain basement, price outlets, stores, you do that great. I mean, they're like small ghettos. I love Walmart because you just never know what you're going to get. But you do it well. Great profit. The TV thing, again, I'm not talking about the talent. I'm not even talking about the product that comes out over the airwaves. I'm talking about maximizing your investment and getting, doing the whole capitalist thing with television. That's all I'm saying. I'm not talking about the people. I'm not talking about they don't make good television. I'm saying they make great television. But Comcast has been in the business of distributing television forever. Like Dave Chappelle had a great show in the Chappelle Show. He didn't go and start his own network to air it. He just, look how it went with Comedy Central though. So there's that. And maybe streaming, now allows, because now you can just streamline your design. It's like you don't have to be on 24 hours a day if it's just streaming. But then you got to get everybody on streaming services. It's a hard hustle to run a TV distribution company. It's not hard to make content. We all have content ideas, but it's like, okay, well, you've got 2 hours worth of content that you're great at making, but there's a 24-hour content day. So what do you do for the other 22 hours? And those 22 hours can't just be 22 hours. They have to be 22 hours that makes enough money to pay for all this shit. You feel me? So you're going to lose your ass. And if you go in and you're like, okay, well, I just want to, as a hobbyist and a billionaire who's got money to burn, I just want to, run my own TV network and I don't care how it goes. Then Comcast says we need this and you go, sure, I don't care. I'm not trying to squeeze a dime out of everything. Otherwise, what'd you get into it for? It's craziness. Speaking of the TV stuff, can you talk about like your only 2 shows with DNVR, then left? No, you know what, Tim? Tim, you're funny. I fuck with you. You pay attention. It was all amicable. That's my homeboy. I was going through a time in my life. I'm gonna chat until it feels like I'm chatting too much, and then maybe I'll step out and dip back in with 5 to go. I'll probably just switch the stream is what I'll end up doing. I was going through a time in my life while the Nuggets game is at halftime. I feel okay doing this. I was going through a time in my life. You'll have to remember during that time we were all in COVID. And I have a whole nother side to me. And it's my artistic, food chain, music, art, did a whole thing with Meow Wolf. Like that's part of me, and a whole life that I haven't been always the most responsible with. I think that's the way to say it. I've had a very colorful life. And so when I approached the homie, or when the homie approached me, he was like, man, get back in. Like, come over and do some content with me. My thing was, I was like, bro, I don't want to do no sports. I was over it. I was like, I don't want to do nothing. So I think I have more that I can give to the world than just sitting and talking sports. It's sometimes, bro, this shit is boring as fuck. I ain't gonna hold you. Talking about sports is because, we get worked up over these things that these people don't pay us back. Look at what we're talking about with Comcast and Altitude and Nuggets fans. You care so much about these travails of these people, the players and the organizations. And what do they ever really give you back? Entertainment. I'm not saying you don't get entertained by it, but you know what I'm saying? I'm talking about the value is always one way in sports. I'm just being honest with you. That's just my philosophy. You don't have to feel like that. It's fine. I'm not here to shit on your parade. I'll be here talking about sports with y'all. My fire is lit again. I really do enjoy sports. After paying attention to politics, I was like, yeah, I need that shit in my life. I'm always paying attention to politics, but I'm just saying after everything that we went through. And the homie over there, Brandon, shout out to Brandon Spano. I don't think that's a name we can't say on these airwaves. He just gave me a chance to go and do something that was really cathartic. And then when I got to the end of it, you ever started something and it's like when Forrest Gump started running and no one knew how long he was going to run. I got a chance to interview some people who I respect, both my sisters, talk about my story. It was called The Whole Hard Truth. It's still over there. It's still, you can go Google it. It's my whole story. If you want to know Oren's background, you want to know where I came from, how I got to this point, why I'm the way I am, go look it up. The Whole Hard Truth on all platforms. You can find it. It's probably 12 episodes, 13, 14 episodes. And I got to a point, I just had my Forrest Gump moment when I was like, okay, that's enough of that. I got it out of my system. That's kind of how it is. For those of you who are artistically inclined to know, everybody has something that they do. It's like you want to get it out. It's like the painter. Get it out and then I'm done with it. And that's how it was. And then I left. And no hard feelings. Me and B still talk. That's the homie. And I think I was better for it. I got a chance to really get some shit off my chest and divulge some things and find out like where my place is in the world. And I think I gave them some compelling content. But over there, it wasn't, that's a sports channel. And I was really talking about life shit because he was like, do it. And I respect him for that. I respect that he was like, yeah, do it. I don't care. I just respect he and I have a close relationship. That's the homie. But that's funny that you said that. That's funny that you said that. I like you, Timothy. I fuck with you. Nuggets are down 69-48. This is a rough one. Coming off the, again, it's like the Broncos when the Broncos drubbed the also-rans for the Kansas City Chiefs. That was not the best that Dallas had to offer last night, but it looked good because Jamal went off and everybody looked back. And tonight I thought we were going to get best on best because you're facing the second best in the West, and they are clearly outclassing everybody that we have with the exception of Joker. So what does that say about the postseason? Nuggets fans still, hold on. I missed this one. Not serious, but maybe take advice from the Monforts. Just keep the Denver teams a sports destination for local profit harvesting like Coors Field. You say not serious, but isn't that the business model that they're running? No one wants to talk about it. No one wants it. You got to be careful because they get their feelings hurt. Oh, their feelings, the millionaires' feelings. You got to watch their feelings. But it's like, okay, take your feelings out of it. Take my feelings out of it. Let's look at your actions. Your job is to put sports on the field of play. Now, I would hope as a competitor, you wouldn't just do that and want to be shit at it just because you know that you have a great yard and that it's summer in Denver and we love to drink beer and sit in a yard and be drunk and give a damn what's happening on the field. But I would hope you would just want to accompany that with, yeah, and the product's good too. Most people would hope that. Apparently, that's crazy talk. Nuggets fans still bitch and moan about watching games when it's the easiest it's ever been now. Is it? I'm not there. So, and I'll tell you, it's easy for me, but it's easy for me because I know how to get a hold of shit on the internet. You know what I'm saying? Shit. I meant maybe they are. Okay. Got you. Yeah, these people don't care about this. I was thinking about this. I was ruminating on this earlier today. A consumer-based economy is the worst thing in the world for the consumer because eventually, like, you're the business, right? So I have this idea because I was trying to help. I do design work, and I was helping a family member, but we were doing business together, and the whole thing was to create some tote bags, right? That could be, but we got to go over to China to get them made, and now it's a whole thing. Just know it's a whole thing, getting them back here and all this. And I'm like, our consumer-based economy, like they figured out because the companies aren't stupid, right? So they're like, well, I want to maximize what I can get out of the consumer. So in order to do that, I would have to put some of the consumers out of business. Out of work, right? Because they want too much money to make this shit. Whereas those guys over there will make it for pennies on the dollar. So I'll put some of the consumers out of business and they won't have the money to buy the things that I'm making for them to consume, but other consumers will. It's a vicious cycle to where you get to the point where we don't manufacture shit in America. And I'm going to put an end to that. And I'm going to make a ton of money. I'm going to make a ton of money, and people are going to make a ton of money because pay your employees well and have them make all the things that people are making overseas. That's what I want to do. Keeping it a buck. It's a fun diversion from the rest of the grind of love. And don't get it twisted. I had to go through the stripping away. I was at that level of my sports fandom where it wasn't serving me best. The Packers or the Nuggets would lose, or the Warriors. I was following the Warriors for a while. My team would lose, and it would really affect me. Like, I don't know if you've ever been there. I don't know if you guys are willing to admit that. It would really affect me. Like, I could feel this, like, why the fuck do I feel so? I don't get no check from these Nuggets. Nobody paying me. And I had to, I don't like sports. And then there was a point when I was like, I don't even know how much of this shit's not WWF. So I'm just saying, but it's a valued place to gather with friends and a commonality. And look how we've built this, digital relationship. I fuck with all y'all. I really do fuck with y'all. You know what I mean? Y'all come in here and fuck with me. I fuck with y'all. So it's a symbiotic. I mean, from Daniel to everybody. I just love. It's like a bar. You know what I mean? Your favorite people fall in Norm. You know what I mean? And it's like, so I dig that aspect of it. It's always going to be I think a good place, and a quality distraction in times when Life is so I get that. Don't get it twisted. I get that. Why do Nuggets fans still trust Malone and no IQ David Adelman? That's a personal attack. We don't know what David Adelman's IQ is. And they trust him because he won a championship. It's hard not to trust a championship coach 3 years removed. We're only literally 2 seasons, not a full 2.5 seasons now, removed from a championship. He was good enough to get you a chip. Maybe he's dealing with immature players. I did that with playing in a band. Okay. Yep. I played in a band too. It's just a nice outlet. You know what I mean? I think we all need them. Appreciate you sharing that. I feel the same as a grown man, as a grown adult with sports. I don't rah-rah anymore or get that emotionally invested, but it's still fun to watch and enjoy. It is. I think it's a great listen, and it's an old business model. This is going to get philosophical. Think Roman Colosseum, and they knew then what the benefit of group involvement in all watching a sporting event. That's a long time ago, right? And it has all of the things, political diversion, really, alleviate pressure from, a population that is maybe a little overpressurized for whatever's going on socially in that place. Entertainment, gambling, all these things. We've been doing this for a long time as human beings. We've been doing this for a long time. Well, in the West. And so it's all those things. And I think for the most part, our society is better for sports. I think for the most part. I do think that there are like the gambling aspect, because not everybody's really good at gambling, but I think it's important that content channels, be very responsible how they promote these gambling sites, because not everybody's good at gambling. So it's like, sign up with code, boom, boom, boom. But it's, and it's like, shit, it's not my job to protect your bank account. It's your job you ain't protecting my bankroll. I'm not protecting yours. But, and the gambling thing is, you feel me? Hello? I can't hear myself. Hold on. I soloed something. Hello. There we go. Whoa. My God. Sports serves as a business objective. It's the one topic that you can create a bond over and talk about with knowledge with a complete stranger. Safe topic that's not politics. Agreed. Great place to camp out and just, icebreaker, consensus building on a different level. You can find out how somebody thinks just by what their sports opinions are, to be quite honest with you. You listen to it, you're like, okay, I know that's okay. There's a lot you can find out from somebody by their sports opinions, for sure. You can tell a lot about a person by their sports opinions. And I don't think that it's wise. Well, okay. Now you brought it up, Andon, so I'm just going to say it. I don't think it's wise that we shy away from not speaking about politics, and I'll tell you why. Because look at where we're at, and a lot of that comes from being siloed. Now, how do you remove the emotion from these conversations? Sports I like the emotion in sports conversations. Like a good sports argument, hopefully it doesn't end in people calling each other out of their names. Like whoever those guys were that were telling you to stay out of the chat or whatever, it's like, who the fuck are you to tell me where I can be with my sports opinions? Like, what? Bro, piss off. You about to piss me off. Like, this is sports. You're not going to tell me what I can talk about at any time. Least of all now when it matters the least. I'm going to talk my shit. You talk your shit. And that's just what it is. And if it has to get bigger than that, you don't want that. But when we can't come together and have conversations about politics, and we need diversions from things get real squirrely. They love it when you're not paying attention. That's probably why sports exists. That's kind of why they put it out there. They love the distractions. But two things can exist at the same time. Two things can be true at the same time. Sports can be a great, great, great place for all those things that you talked about. And it also can be a purposeful action to keep you from paying attention. Did Malone not prepare this team well enough to play tonight? All that and more. You love these open-ended questions, Daniel. Why don't you tell me more what you think? Just tell me what you think, Daniel. You ask the question like, I think we all know what you think. Just say it. He likes to ask these questions, these open and all that and more. Did Malone not prepare this team well enough to play tonight? They're missing their best player, and they are statistically the worst team in basketball when he's not on the floor. Statistically, the Nuggets are the worst team in basketball when they don't have Joker services. They told me advertisers like me not should chime in. Oh, you know what's crazy about that, Andon? I watch our content. So I'll be in the comment section on DMAC show or on, I'm talking. It's like because I'm an advertiser, should I have less of an opinion? Those of us who know you as Andon Journey, you'll have to remember, I didn't even know you as Andon Journey Spice. You know what I'm saying? So, because I don't think many people are paying all that much attention, to be honest with you. I think sometimes, like, my hope with this internet shit is don't turn this into legacy TV shit, man. Money can be made and people still be able to be themselves. The whole point of being on the internet, in my opinion, is just the freedom to just be like, Jesus Christ. There's so many rules when it comes to legacy media. There's so many rules to finally get to a place where it's open season. And if I am colorful with my language, I'm trusting that the people watching at least have enough sense to just turn away. You don't have to stay here. You feel me? Like, or just understand it's blue. It's blue. It's blue. It's the internet. It's blue. No FCC's coming to get me. And I'm not a curse machine, but I'm gonna get them off. I'm gonna talk my shit. I don't know. I just don't, but it's like bringing all that shit in. Oh, you're an advertiser, so you shouldn't talk. It's like, oh, mercy. Is that what we're worried about? Like, merciful. I can guarantee you this, Andon. I can guarantee you this. Not that no one cares about Journey Spice. Y'all patronize. But no one gives a shit if you have sports opinion. We welcome it. So it's like, what? Don't want our advertisers talk. No, what? So there are places on the internet that I'm banned now because I do good business. What? Whole reason I wanted to sponsor this because I wanted the channel to thrive. Yes, exactly. And thriving is conversation. I love the lurkers. I like the people who talk not more than. I love the lurkers. I love the people who just want to watch. They're like, I'll put a phone number up and I'll be like, are y'all scared? I came out of the sports. I'm the type of sports fan. I came out of the sports world where we couldn't wait to get on the phone and talk that shit. Some of y'all be scared of the mother. Like, you just like to lurk on the outside. And that's fine. We love the lurkers. Lurk. Just make sure you hit the like button, hit the subscribe button. That's all we ask. Lurk. Lurk away. Lurk to your heart's content. Stay out there. Sometimes it can get real active in these streets. Bruh, my grammar is wrecked tonight. Yeah, mine too. Nuggets down 77-57. That got out of hand quick. Holy God. Holy God. Let's look at some numbers. Shall we? D-Max went to this game. I wonder if he's like, this was a big mistake. Could have stayed at home for this shit. Jalen Green torching us. That's the list. Everybody, with the exception of Jabari Smith, is in the plus. Whereas Christian Brown, 13. Everybody in the Nuggets is in the minus. Look at good God. Everyone. Every single Nugget that has entered the game is in the minus. And you blame Mike Malone for that? That's just a lack of pride and fear. They know that they're not good without old boy. Malone is getting out coached. I think the Nuggets are getting out talented. Sometimes you got to give it to the other teams, the other squads. Talent, Daniel Miller. These two organizations are definitely moving in opposite directions when it comes to complete roster. I'm telling you right now, I'm not saying he's Nikola Jokic, but the Rockets have a center that he could play for the next. He's going to play for a long time. Alperen Şengün is a player. He's low tier Joker. And that means his upside is, Alperen Şengün is a baller. Jalen Green, future all-star. Fred VanVleet is Fred VanVleet. I love Amen Thompson. Him and his brother, again, they're just getting out. I mean, quite honestly, like Steven Adams, they're just getting, I don't know. They're really just getting, they're getting no production. This is the problem. MPJ just is point total. I'm gonna offer this up again as a theory. Because the elbow just came out of nowhere. The elbow just came out of nowhere. And it feels like when I watched last night's game, the one thing that I did see, and I didn't want to do this because I think far too often, maybe my Nuggets commentary comes off as just the constant critic. And I was conscious of that. I'm being honest. I wanted to just give Jamal his flowers in a time when I feel like he earned them. But if you saw the way the offense was running, it was a bunch of guys watching Jamal cook. And the problem with that is that when Jamal's cooking, that's great. But when he's not cooking, then other guys just don't have a flow. There's no flow created for other guys to contribute. And sometimes I just have gotten this feeling this season that Joker's quiet protest is not to so much prove his worth. I think he knows his worth. I think everybody knows his worth to this team. But I think his quiet protest is going to be, I'm going to step back and let you guys figure this fucking out. Okay, you see how they play when I'm not on the court? Now, when you see that, go and get me guys that aren't that. I just get this feeling that that's his quiet protest. The elbow is disconcerting only because it seems like it came out of nowhere. And honestly, the only thing I've always said about Joker is he doesn't take a lot of wear and tear. I mean, he gets beat up constantly, but he's a big man. So, but if his health ever, I wonder like what effect would health have on his game? I mean, it takes something away from everybody, right? And Arvydas Sabonis was, by all folklore, by all legend, a Nikola Jokic of his time. By the time we saw him, he had long since passed that prime. You remember him with the knees, for those old enough, you remember the knee braces. He still had game, but he lumbered up and down the court because that's, now it's like you hope Joker doesn't, we all hope long life and success for Nikola Jokic. I really do. I just think the world of him. I really appreciate him as a basketball player. I know everyone does. But it's like, yeah, if injuries start to become a problem, you need to put things around him so that he's not expending himself so much. And I think sometimes, it's a concerted effort. If, like I was reading something about Kawhi Leonard talking about managing his energy coming back. He's like, yeah, load management. I'm slow walking myself back into it. And I get that. Although I think we all have opinions on, I think Kawhi's holding the Clippers hostage. He's like, you know who you got in me. So I'm going to take my time to it, and you do whatever you want. You can either have yes Kawhi or no Kawhi, but Kawhi going to do what Kawhi won't do. And I kind of respect it. I like the equity being on the player's side, but I do not like a player-driven league. Does that make any sense when I say that? I like the equity being on the player's side, but I do not like a player-driven league. I think the players can still have equity. But the the game not be dictated by player whim, because no one wants that. Just more of the Murray roller coaster. 16 points after a 45-point night. You need to play better, Jamal. Shaq. I think Shaq meant all the time in every game. Exactly. I think Jamal really got up for a national televised game. That's what it's looking like. Like, how do you follow a 45-point effort? Well, I'll tell you one way. Is different. This is the other part about I was pissed watching Maul hog the ball all last night. That's what I thought. They can't practice running plays of the play if the play is, hey, I'll take the ball down, dribble around, score, cool. Yeah. And I thought for the most part, Jamal is able to do those things effectively when Joker's on the court, because the attention is being shown to Joker. So without Joker, this is the Jamal you get. And I think the point to be made instrumentally is there still a question in your mind who the number one guy is here, Jamal? Because I think we all know it, but I just don't think Jamal buys it. I don't think he buys into the fact that the best player on the Nuggets' best option at all times is Joker with the ball in his hands, because Jamal would have to become more of a work around without the ball type of guy. And that's just not what Jamal does. Jamal stands if he doesn't have the ball in his hands. How many times have you seen Jamal cut to the basket? How many times have you seen Jamal run off of a screen? How many times have you seen Jamal set a solid pick for someone else? How many times have you seen Jamal really involve his teammates in the game? It doesn't happen. Jamal is a poor man's Carmelo Anthony without half the game. I'm just telling you, Carmelo Anthony was the jab step, but Carmelo Anthony, without question, was one of the game's most prolific scorers ever. And Jamal Murray is Jamal Murray. And I just don't think he's not the type of, I don't see how you couldn't be, but maybe he's not the type of player. He's like, I don't play without the ball in my hands. It doesn't work for me. You know what I mean? Maybe his game, he can't get it doesn't seem like he can get his game off playing a team concept of basketball. Jamal is, at best, bring the ball up, wait for Joker to flash in a high post, get the ball to Joker, and then see if we can run this two-man game. At worst, he's going to stand around. Like, you tell me, you watch the games, like I watch the games. Do you see him an active member of the offense when he doesn't have the ball in his hands? He's not he's not a curl guy. He's not a come off a pick guy. He's not a set a screen for somebody else guy. Jamal is strictly, give me the ball and let me cook. Okay, that's fun to watch. Nope. Hot take about Eagles fan. Yes, everyone agrees that wasn't an appropriate thing to say, but was it the worst thing that was ever said during a sports game? Hell no. Did he really deserve to lose his job? Oh, he lost his job? That's the era, Timothy Rimothy. That's the era that we're living in. We are currently living in an era of, and I really don't understand it, to be honest with you, corporate entities rushing to exact justice where justice might not be best suited. The guy has already been doxxed and outed as a complete piece of trash. Right. Now, our businesses, I don't know what he did. I don't know who he worked for, but were businesses going to stop, or patrons going to stop doing business with whatever business he worked for because he's the Eagles fan that was acting like a complete asshole? No, rarely. Some might, but the ones who will, it's like, okay. Like if that guy worked at a Walmart, I'm not saying if he worked at a Walmart, you think the Walmart's going to get less patronage because the guy, you're the guy? No. Wasn't he a lawyer or something like that? I don't know. Agreed. I can't stand Philly fan, and that dude is trash, but losing his job for being an ass off the job is some Black Mirror bullshit. Yeah, we are in the era. Everybody's so cognizant of being not liked on the internet. And it's like, if someone doesn't like your business because you employ an asshole, no one would be in business. You know how many assholes there are? Like, what? Like, think about it. If someone, they're like, I'm not doing business. That's a very it's a very delicate patron that won't do business with a business because of one of the businesses. If you like the hamburgers at Five Guys and you find out that one of Five Guys' employees is an asshole, are you going to stop eating at Five Guys? Are you going to stop eating at Five Guys? I'm not. Sorry. Now, I will say this. I don't fuck with Starbucks because of what they. Let me stay out of that. There are certain businesses I could see where the boycott comes, but it's because of the things that the business supports. And they're big things. They're big scale things. Employing an asshole is like, you're going to look, Jamal tried to dribble between three guys and got the ball ripped. And boom, it leads to a dunk on the other end. Nope. His game, now I'm going to use it. I don't care. I'm not Jamal bashing. I'm just pointing out the obvious. Jamal Murray's, so Jalen Green and Russell Westbrook are into it. And in G, which is what's wrong with social media. Exactly. It's filled with too many people who have too much time waiting to ruin someone else's life over something yeah, it's literally. And it's not, and here's the other part. Now, where she was and where he was at the game, that's a real place, right? They were in a real place around each other. And sports fans are terrible to one another. It's part of the reason why I do take umbrage with sports sometimes. I'm like, so you take this thing so seriously that you would, you know what I mean? I remember the story about the Buffalo Bills fan who hit his mother in the head with a Jesus piece because the Bills lost. And it's like, the Bills always lose, bro. You only got one mama. You can't keep hitting her with that Jesus piece. It just does wild things to us. But that's probably an effect of alcohol as well. And I would imagine that Philly fan was drinking. I don't think I thought his behavior was abhorrent, and I think he's a piece of shit because I'm just like, you talk to a lady like that, bro? You talk to a lady like that? That's crazy work. And your team's winning? That's crazy. Like, you're just a piece of shit. But again, it's like, he's a piece of shit at a football game. But the internet went to work on him. And once the internet goes to work on you, now whoever employs you is more than cognizant. They're like, oh, it's going bad. It's going bad on the internet. It's going bad. They don't like him on the internet. They really don't like him on the internet. Oh, we got to fire him. And it's just like, twofold. One, he definitely learned his lesson. Two, people just really, 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 really need to understand the internet is not a real place. It is not a real place. You know why? Because you can just turn it off. I can't turn off my family and my house and the world outside. You just can't turn it off. You can turn off the internet, which more people should do, because a lot of you snowflakes aren't built for these streets. Y'all ain't built for these streets. You're too soft. Or I don't fuck with Five Guys because I have to. The cost of a hamburger in 2025 versus the cost of a hamburger when I'm growing up. I feel you, Tim. I feel you, Timothy Rimothy. Nuggets down 91-70, and it ain't getting better. It ain't getting closer. Down 93-70. It ain't getting closer. And it ain't coming back. That's a shame. That's a shame that we got boat raced. Well, they just boat raced the squad, and then they got boat raced. Jamal Murray's still trying to get his game off. What's he shooting? 8 of 14, 4 of 5 from 3. And he's efficient. It's an efficient night. It's an efficient 20-point night for Jamal. He's negative 17 on the, you know why? Because he's getting cooked on the defensive end. Cooked. Cooked, booked, shook, overlooked, mistook for a basketball player, for a hooper. I fuck with Five Guys, bro. But you know what? Also about Five Guys, a lot of salt content. Rare is the occasion that I'll have Five Guys and not get a salt hangover, get a sodium hangover. They're not a sponsor of anything that we do here, right? They're not going to feel offended. I'm going all the way through. I'm going all the way through. I know some people would frown upon that, but you know what? You're just going to have to deal with it. You know who I'm talking to. Sometimes are just worth. Sometimes I feel like I don't have a pod now. Adobe got their money. Good for you guys. Get off my back now. Sometimes I feel like my only friend is the city I live in, the city of Bowie, Maryland. Only as I am together we die. Boom. So there go the standings. Nuggets are, after this game, will be a full 10 games out of first place and a full four games. They get a half game. Yeah, a full 4 games out of second place. That sucks. Tim Rim. Tim Rim. Rim. So no one can be a dumbass in public for the fear of losing their jobs because we're a social media. Oh man, panopticon. You just came up with a word that I know nothing about. I'm gonna look that up. What is a panopticon? Panopticon. Social media panopticon. I'm looking that up now. I love new words. I love vocabulary. I've never heard panopticon, and we're gonna figure it out right now because Andon's getting here, getting all smart with his vocabulary. Pan. Don't tell me. I'll look it up my goddamn self. Don't tell me. I'll look it up myself. The panopticon is a prison design that allows a single guard to watch all prisoners without them knowing. What? Without them knowing? How do they not know? They're in prison. The term comes from the Greek words pan, all, and optic, seeing. Okay. The panopticon is a circular building. Wow, this is very interesting, Andon. Thank you. I love to learn new shit. Huh. Circular building with a central tower and cells around the outside. The cells are arranged in a single layer with one open side facing the tower. Okay. The open side is the cell bars. The open side of the cell bars, but is otherwise exposed to the tower. The tower has small windows so prisoners can't see inside. Very interesting. Very interesting. I think I'll build one of these panopticons. For what reason, you ask? Wouldn't you like to know? Wouldn't you like to know? I'm going to build me one of them panopticons, and then it's problems. It's problems for everyone. Not everyone here, but those who don't play by the rules in the new world that I shall create. A world filled with panopticons and supplicants. It's also a term for a surveillance state with cameras everywhere. Didn't know that either. Don't want to get too political, but it's wild to see what the difference. Okay, hold on. Sometimes I start to read you guys' things, and then it's not how you write, it's how I read. Don't want to get too political, but it is wild to see what the difference of worlds. No one in the real world worries about at most 5% of what social media worries about. True indeed. Very true. Very true. So true, in fact, that, well, you already accentuated the point, but it is quite literally 2 different worlds. I'll give you an example. COVID. Okay, that's not the right example. Let me go. I'm about to go into that, but we don't just keep it because aliens and drones. You would think if you were online that we were under full-scale invasion. But if you go outside your home, you'd know nothing about it. Right? And most people live somewhere. So those things aren't happening everywhere. But when it's on the internet, the panopticon of the internet, look at that use right there, Andon. We're all funneled. Our view is funneled toward the center. And that center stage is a circus. And that circus is ran by idiots. And Bill Gates, who he will be one of the residents in my panopticon. Oh yes, he will. Oh yes. Coming for you, Gates. What? I didn't say that. Nuggets down 20, 102 to 82. We're just going to keep it going through the fourth quarter, boys. We're going to go as close into the fourth quarter as it doesn't matter. And then we're going to get out of here, and that's your 5 to go. And here's what I'm going to do. Here's what I'm going to do, because I built a whole thing for it, and 5 to go's got to get its time. So what I am going to do is I'm going to go all the way up until about 5 minutes in the fourth quarter. I'm going to stop this until about 7 minutes in the fourth quarter. I'm going to stop this, and I'm going to start 5 to go. And then we'll do the whole 5 to go thing. That's what we're doing. It's what we're doing. Matter of fact, I'm probably going to do that as soon as the fourth quarter starts. It won't be a 5 to go. It'll be more like a 4 to go. I mean, a quarter to go. Dude, get up. Go. My dog, he waits until I'm on, and then he wants to crawl up under my Bosu ball and be under the ball. It's so crazy. He literally waits till I'm on, y'all. And then he climbs under, because I sit on a Bosu ball. By the way, if you can avoid it, we live such a sedentary lifestyle. Get a standing desk or a Bosu ball and replace your desk chair with a Bosu ball or a standing desk. It's very good for your mobility and your health. And that's one to grow on. Way to go. Neato, gang. Super duper. That's nice. You're welcome. 20 points is not getting made up. No, it is not. And that 20 points is going to stay 20 points. There is nothing coming back. Real talk. Nuggets offensive rebounding is pure garbage. When Westbrook and P-Swat ain't on the court, you just don't have a lot of guys. I look at Michael Porter Jr. and I'm like, who has not told you that you're 6'10" tall? How are you such an enigmatic rebounder? Michael Porter Jr. By the way, Michael Porter Jr.'s numbers tonight, 2 of 4 from the field, 0 of 2 from 3. 3 rebounds. He is a -20 with 8 points. What does that tell you? Nuggets have a grand total of 14 assists. 14. What does that tell you? Did we quit tonight? And more questions. All that and more questions. Yeah, quit. I don't know if quit would be the word. I think we learned a valuable lesson, and we'll talk about what that lesson is. But we'll wait till 5 to go to talk about that. Real talk. Okay, we learned a valuable lesson about where the Nuggets' best travails lie. Okay? What do you think that? Where do you think that is? What do you think their best options lie? Think about last night's game. Think about last night's scoring leader. Think about tonight's game. Think about who was available. Think about what the rest of the team was able to do when led by that person. And we'll talk more about it here in a second. I'm going to end, like I said, I'm going to end this stream, and then I'm going to start another one and another one. It looks like these guys don't trust Malone. I like that. That's a definitive statement, Daniel. Thank you. We were taught to drive and rebound until the shot clock was at 0. And if the other team got it, your ass better hustle D or you get chewed out. That's how I got cut. LOL. I feel like basketball has been overcomplicated. And the simple way to look at basketball is it's a very small half-court setting. Your best bet is to get the defense moving side to side. That's why when you see those plays when guys are scrambling because guys are working the ball around the outside, that's why those usually end in a high percent or a low percentage shot being taken but hit at a high rate. Because after a while, it's you're stationary, so to speak, and the defense is trying to catch up to the places where you know you're at your spots. That requires that you share the ball. More times than not, when guys can set their feet and know where their man's going to be, your defense looks great. And when everybody's watching one guy have a dribble exhibition, you're probably going to be pretty stationary. And what happens over the course of the game then is that guys just stop involving themselves in possessions where that guy has the ball. And you know why? Well, he doesn't need any pick. He's just trying to dribble around, over, and through everyone. He's just going to dribble until he finds himself in a position where he can shoot. So he doesn't need my help. What the fuck do I need to do anything for? I'm going to stand here and wait to. You're easily defensed and highly ineffective, especially in a league where everybody thinks that they should be shooting 33s a game. It's crazy shit. And I think that what we're learning, a very valuable lesson that we're learning because of Nikola Jokic's absence, is how valuable is all that 45-point potential really, Jamal? So here's what we're going to do, y'all. Hey, y'all. I'm going to end this, and I'm going to restart. I'm going to give myself about 10 minutes, and I'm going to restart with 5 to go. I'm not even going to give myself 10 minutes, really. I'm going to end this. I'm going to take a drink of water, go to the bathroom, and then I'm going to come back. And if you decide to join me for 5 to go, I'll appreciate it. And if you don't, I completely understand. You know what I'm saying? What if I told you that pain is the process? That's what we're going through. Lesser, more be the options, sticking and moving, picking and choosing, switching and losing solid ground. 10 toes, all of them down. Precious time is an illusion, true, but still, you don't have that much of it. You think you got it, but you don't got that much of it. All right, be back in a minute.
And now it's time to play everybody's favorite game.
Good news. We are talking about combination. Jesus Christ. We can't run.